The Escalante River starts in the headwaters up in the Dixie National Forest. That part of Utah is very remote, it's very wild. It's just a deep, rocky canyon with a ribbon of vibrant green riparian habitat all the way from the town of Escalante to where it meets the Colorado River at Lake Powell. The Escalante is one of the least impacted rivers in the entire Colorado River basin. Other river systems have dams on them. Other river systems have a history of overgrazing. In the Escalante, really the only stressor there is the invasive plants, in particular Russian olive. Russian olive is highly invasive. When it establishes along a riverbank, it forms an impenetrable buffer along that bank, and that's a problem for backpackers and boaters who can't access the river. But it's also a problem ecologically that really prevents the river from eroding and depositing material, a critical process for maintaining the health of the river.
The only way that we're going to be able to deal effectively with Russian olive invasion is by physically removing it, not only from places where it is invaded, like along streams, but in places in the landscape where it serves as a seed source to places that are vulnerable to invasion.
And so we're working with a partnership there to make sure we protect that river as one of the prizes of the Colorado River system.
One. I'll take it.
There we go.
And it's hard work in really remote country.
Okay, we don't need this.
Don't forget your ears.
Is it total 12 miles?
Yes.
You guys want to keep it going? Got a lot of hiking to do. Let's keep moving as much as we can. So where we're gonna go is down this slick rock, across the sand flats, down a sand dune, up the Escalante River. Have a good trip. And then we're gonna go up the Harris Wash confluence 2 miles.
We can't walk around, huh?
And our camp is gonna have this amazing rock formation on one side, and we just live up on the higher land mass opposite it.
It's a good hike.
Wow, look at how beautiful it is here.
The first day madness is always very hectic. There's a lot of things to do.
We've got a lovely backcountry water system.
You have to set up your water filter. You have to dig a little latrine.
Yeah, Grant came in early with his horses. He was able to move all of this stuff.
I've moved here in '75, and I have been exploring and then running trips since '91. And I watched the Russian olives go from none at all to completely closing off the river. And I had to start carrying an axe, and they just got thicker and thicker exponentially until we had to start riding in the river, and you couldn't cut them down fast enough.
The Russian olive has long thorns. I'd say the most difficult part of killing Russian olive is not getting stabbed. But I've had a thorn right here for over a year.
All set up. Got my little house on the prairie.
Maybe start cooking dinner in 15 minutes because it's getting kind of late.
Something to be aware of on the work site. Everybody can get their own tool set. We do suggest everyone take a handsaw. It's gonna be your #1 most coveted tool.
If we take 11 loppers, let's bring back 11 loppers.
Don't get too far away. We want to know where people are.
All right, let's go kill some things. It's quite the thing.
It's great to have wilderness volunteers because a lot of these people are taking time out of their lives, and it's great to see people restore this beautiful place and this beautiful watershed.
We're only a quarter mile from where the work site starts, so that's really ideal for our volunteer group trying to get there every day.
A lot of photo ops.
It's so beautiful.
So good.
Our prescription for this area is everything under 4 inches in diameter for a tree should be cut down at the base.
When we low stump a tree, we want to get within 1 inch of the ground. So starting from the littler ones, getting it close to the ground. Hopefully my sprayer works nice. Spray the stump as soon as you can so you don't lose it. Then move on to the next one.
How did it get here? Like most invasive species, Russian olive was brought over for erosion control.
The problem with invasive species is they outcompete all of the native plants.
Where these other plants are much more adapted to it, they work with it, they rely on the soil. This one just comes in and kind of takes over the soil.
And it totally disrupts the natural ecosystem that has evolved for millions of years.
Please toss everything you can in the water. Just get it off the bank so that when it floods, it'll take that debris downriver right into Lake Powell.
Oh, those are pretty wimpy. I want one that looks thorny and Russian olive-y.
So if you can't get through the willows and the cottonwoods to the river, make a what we call habitat pile. Hopefully a chainsaw crew will come down and cut these and make them much smaller.
Within the Navajo culture, water is life, so it's very important, at least for me, to keep myself involved within the natural environment, especially in the sense of water.
You're gonna hack those? Or?
Yeah, all
those. Here. Oh, you're all set. I'm Rick Devine. This is my brother Dan. We're wilderness volunteers. Dan's retired, and I said, wow, I got a buddy now to do things with. So I signed up, and I wrote him an email. I said, hey, I'm doing this. You want to come along? I've been in the gym working at it so I can stay with my younger brother. Look, you weren't doing this, you could be doing this at home. That's right. Our father raised us to be, ecologically minded. I can remember family trips where we would go out and collect garbage to clean the beaches and bring it back.
Uh-oh, he's caught. Yeah, all right. Okay.
That's why these are great. Keep the thorns out of my arm.
Got you in the back, though.
Yeah, it did get me in the back.
We're in the pile here.
We're in the pile.
You may be able to shout from one end of where you work to the other, but you can see the difference, and people you work with make it fun. But people come back. It's kind of like being in an army unit. There's camaraderie, esprit de corps.
It's gonna come right at you, just so you're aware.
Oh my God, it didn't me. It's what I was killing.
It was a lot of fun. I got a bunch of scratches, got a little bit dirty, so it was my kind of day.
We're at about 80% in terms of the eradication, and we're shooting for about 95% throughout the entire watershed.
Here's one for you to cut, Steve.
The hope is that by removing Russian olive now from these invaded streams throughout the southwestern U.S., we will allow native species like cottonwoods and willows to once again reproduce naturally and extensively without future interference by Russian olive.
The Escalante River Watershed Partnership is a grassroots organization made up of federal agencies, state agencies, businesses, community members, and nonprofits. The partnership started in 2009, and it was centered around the idea of Russian olive. That was really our rallying point. And all of those different groups combined really create a force for protecting this place.
A healthy river system is one that has a full complement of native plants, native species, native fisheries, and wildlife. It's one with diverse and complex habitat. A healthy river is one that has its full range of different types of flows, from floods to low-season summer flows. If nothing was done in the Escalante about the Russian olive, you'd see a gradual but dramatic shift in the ecology of the system, and that river eventually becomes more like a ditch than a river system.
I think that you just come home every night to your tent with a really big sense of personal satisfaction because you know you've done so much for this amazing area.